would say,
Yeah.
God exists. I like to think that. I like to in God we trust. When something goes properly well, I say, oh, thanks God.
Sin. What is it to you? Do you think it has?
There's no such thing. That's not scientific
Right. Okay.
ground for that, in my opinion. And that's where I got a conflict myself,
Right.
where the scientific and the truth and what can be proven and what can be seen and what that where I stop and I don't form an opinion on that.
So I just spoke to this gentleman, Italian gentleman. He was very kind to lend his time to me. But it's very clear that his view of anything spiritual was just not something that he would even want to entertain. It was beyond his reach. If it wasn't scientific, if it wasn't something physical that he could understand, feel, touch, or perhaps maybe if it wasn't just a commonly accepted belief, he just wouldn't want to have it, just wouldn't want to even think about it. And so even if presented with, let's say, evidence for claims in the Bible or for any spiritual experiences, I think he would just reject them, just because it does not agree with his worldview. And this is sad because it just closes him to basically the reality of the world, which is not just physical, but it is spiritual. And we experience it day to day. I'm sure that he experiences it himself, although maybe he would use a different set of words to describe those experiences. So unfortunately he had to go. I didn't have a chance to probe a little bit more about just challenging maybe him a little bit more about his views and encouraging him to have a look for himself in the Bible, to have a read, to have a consideration. So he had to go, but anyway, I'm thankful that he stopped by. Maybe next time, maybe there'll be more time for him to think about these things. Maybe sometimes later in life he'll be able to get to grips with some of these truths, and I'll continue to pray for him and have a look and watch this video. Thanks. Bye. So I just have a quick opening question, and that is, do you have any faith? Do you have any religion? Do you have any belief?
It's a difficult one.
Okay.
I believe, because I've been brought up in a way that you need, like in a Catholic kind of, family, but not that much. I mean, just, like it's more like a cultural background, not a religious background,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. It's
Yes.
just that I come from Italy,
Yeah.
and we are all religious, but we don't really practice,
Sure.
in a way. So it's more, in my opinion, it's not a religion, it's a culture. It's just a way of an identity kind of
yeah.
thing. But it's built in me, but it's not like a faith, like going to church or reading the Bible, or it's just it's a background, something that it's there for me, like something that I grow up with, that I believe it's something that it's part of me, but I'm not practicing or making like a way of living, like these are the rules and just follow. It's part of me. It's
Sure.
part of my learning, my background, my culture.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm not living like a religious person. I don't have a strong faith.
Understood. Yeah. I'm from Croatia, by the way. So,
okay.
yeah, so
okay.
I-
So we're close.
Very close, yes. I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I grew up in a kind of Roman Catholic kind of upbringing, culture. It's part of almost like the identity of the nation.
Exactly,
Kind of thing,
exactly.
yeah,
I feel it really strongly, but it's so melts within yourself that you can't really. I might say I'm religious because of that, but I'm not.
Yeah,
It's just cultural, I think.
I understand. And but if you were to sort of think about kind of your own personal sort of understanding, is there like a higher thing, right? Is there a higher being? Is there something that you would call God? Does that exist? Or would you say that?
Yeah, because of that background, I would say,
Yeah.
God exists. I like to think that. I like to in God we trust. When something goes properly well, I say, oh, thanks God. I don't turn to God when something goes wrong. I'm not that type, that I pray because this, because this is more like a superstitious kind of thing. But when something really, really goes great, I say, oh, thanks God. Must be, something from God, a gift from God. I see in a positive way. I don't see it as a kind of you need to pray in order to get something.
Yes. And when you think about that, when you think about imagining someone you're giving thanks to, or in that moment where that kind of feeling comes about, what do you have in your mind? Is it like a person, or is it some sort of a force, or an entity? What would you
kind
say?
of an entity, someone that's look after you, some kind of someone there that was making sure something did end up well. Something. I don't picture it. No.
Don't picture it, okay.
Him or her or it. It's something. Just say God.
Yeah. And would you go as far as say that same entity or person is the one who created everything? Would you say that's?
I don't go that far. No.
Okay.
It's something that I keep within myself to say some kind of entity that is there that looks after you. But I don't go down to the creation point. I get more scientific to that point.
Right. Yeah. Would you say to that extent that the science kind of excludes religion to that extent?
I think it does.
Okay. Do you have like a background maybe in science, or would you study science, or?
Not at all. No.
Okay.
I just my mind can separate the two things really clearly.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have? Like a Big Bang kind of thing, or is it like when you say that the two are separate? What would you say is the difference between what science would say and what a kind of religious view would be?
You can see, how the world is shaped, and the Big Bang theory. It's all makes some scientific sense, and you've got the tools to go back how many years and all that. So scientifically, it's all linked together really well.
Yes.
I can see it, I can touch it, it's proven, it's scientific.
Yeah.
The rest is not, it's me building that up. I want to believe that God did that good thing for me, but I don't want to go into the creation kind of thing and stuff like that.
I see. There's one interesting, I would like to see what your reaction is to this. There's one interesting illustration that someone came up with to try to sort of illustrate the difference between, this was a scientist who happened to be a Christian, right? And he said, look, if a grandma bakes me a cake, and as a scientist, I can look at that cake, I can analyze it, and I can tell you how much sugar it has, how much fat it has, what the weight is, all the elements and everything like that. I can give you the full spectrum analysis and everything like that. But one thing I cannot tell you is why the cake was created. And for that, he needs to speak to the grandmother, and he has to sort of understand,
go back and understand
that it was because of, I don't know, birthday, or because of just pure love, or because there was something in grandmother's heart that wanted to give that thing, right? So I guess the point he was trying to make is that I guess the science is very good in discovering what is here, and measuring and observing, but it cannot give you the meaning of things. It cannot give you the conclusions of things, right? The interpretation and the narrative.
The why.
The why of that, right? And so to that extent, I think he was trying to say, look, it's not so much that the religion is opposed to science, because even let's say even the Vatican and even Roman Catholics, they have a scientific division that would say, yep, we agree with everything that science has come up with, but we say, look, science doesn't give all the answers. It gives us the answers about how things maybe are comprised of, the makeup, the process, the methodology, but it doesn't give you the answers that mean something to you and me as far as life goes.
No. Right. But that's personal. I think you can blend it as much as you want, but knowing your background, as I said before, and then you make decision on how, and I think that's where I stand. Like, it's good to blend the two. Yeah. It's good to separate the two, and then it's personal. How much you want to, go to one side to the other, and to see how much, science and how much it's there.
True. But I think there's an interesting kind of maybe almost like a line which sort of gets a little bit blurry. So one example is Isaac Newton, famous obviously physicist, and many other.
The gravity, something, you know, what was?
I think it's something you dropped.
Yes.
Yes, well, he discovered gravity, but
yeah.
I think many other scientists of the Enlightenment era and like 18th, 19th century, they were Christians, and they said, we are scientists because we come from the starting point that if this world was created by God, that means that it's ordered, that it makes sense, it's rational, and it can be discovered for us to understand because it's an ordered universe.
Okay.
And because they started from an assumption that it was an ordered universe, they continued to their pursuit to discover the equations, gravity. Okay, gravity must be explainable, and then they came up with the equations and the law of preservation of energy, the law, the entropy law, and other things. They all, not all, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying a lot of the discoveries in science actually happen from people who at their heart believe
that is part of the bigger design.
Bigger design, bigger design. And not just because they've had a fuzzy feeling in their hearts, but because they felt in reality...
logically, and there must be, it must
That's
be.
Right. That's
I
right.
think so, I like to believe that. A little bit. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfect. It's logical.
Logical.
Yeah.
Would you say that kind of maybe sheds a little bit more of a light on if there is a God who creates, who maybe sort of orders things? There's a room for that God even in our scientific universe.
Yeah.
Logically.
I think these people, they come from a good place. Yeah. It's
How about, maybe switching gears a little bit more, do you feel like, we often talk about these days about, in Catholics we often use this word as well, sin. You understand what I'm talking about, sin, right?
Yes.
When we do sinful things. How do you understand the word sin? What is it to you? Do you think it has...
There's no such thing. That's not scientific ground for that, in my opinion. Yeah.
So would you say it's sin? You'd say that there is no such thing as a sin? No. Okay.
Good and bad, and that's it.
What is okay? Well, you use interesting words, good and bad, and that's it. How do you define good? How do you define bad? What is the foundations? What is the
we all know what good looks like, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
How does it look like?
We all know that. No, we shouldn't have to explain that.
Okay.
No. I don't think about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look. For example, I'll give some examples.
Yeah. I think it's generically speaking, good is doing good things. Helping others, and all this. Behave properly. Bad is going out and steal and do bad things.
Yeah. Okay, here's an extreme example, but I'm only using it just to get the conversation kind of a little bit moving. Do you think that Hitler, when he was doing what he was doing, was he thinking that he was doing a good thing?
In his eyes, probably, is because his background made him believe that he was on a mission to do those things. So,
that's right. Yeah.
But common ground tells us, that what normally, as I said, what good looks like, right?
Yeah.
You think that it was good.
Yeah. So in his own minds, he may have thought that he's doing good because ultimately he was trying to. Well, he's doing many things, but one of the things he's trying to kind of preservation of the race and the purity or whatever it is, and the grander sort of whatever.
It was good in his eye. It was evil, and it can be seen as that.
Okay.
Even.
But is it only evil because it's evil in other people's eyes, not in his own eyes, right? Because that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, but it's not justification for that. It's if you see someone doing something because he believes that that's good and it's evil, that doesn't justify that someone can one day say, I think it's good, I'll do it, it's good for me,
right?
It's good for everyone, I'll do it, I'll kill, I'll pursue something evil. No. It's not a good example.
But what I'll use the extreme example just to see
we need to talk normal day, normal life. I don't wanna go too much into that.
Sure. Okay, let's maybe look at the normal days, normal life, and apologies if also this gets maybe a little bit more sensitive, but we talk about abortion is a very sensitive topic, right? Some people are for it and some people are against it. And even in Poland, we had recently news, I don't know if you follow the news, but the Polish legislative body, they've made a very conservative stance on the whole issue of abortion. And that's very controversial now because the women now felt like their rights were being taken away.
Yeah.
And then the European Parliament is getting involved because they feel like that's overstepping human rights, and there's a whole conflict between human rights and the law of Poland, right? And Poland being a Catholic country, again, very conservatively so, you can kind of understand why is it that they believe so. Now, let's talk about it again, right? So on what basis can we judge whether an issue like that abortion is good or bad? Is it just a matter that some people have one opinion, some people have another opinion, or is there a real absolute?
Yeah, I think that's a bit extreme. People should be entitled to their opinions, and there should be a choice, and people should get an informative choice. They should have their own, ability to, to follow their religion if they want to, or to go, it's as simple as that.
But again, it comes down to personal choice, right? We talk about good and evil. Is there an absolute idea of good and evil? So if I say to that person, because I believe, for example, that it's an evil act, and I say, hey, you really should not do that, that's evil.
Yeah.
Because I firmly believe
that
is evil. Just like I would come to a Hitler and say, dude, you should not kill these people.
Yeah,
that's
no.
evil.
They're all extreme, and I haven't formed a thought around that, so I do apologize on that. I don't have an answer for that.
No problem.
I just think that it's good that we have an option for those people that that they're in that situation. And
no problem. Maybe a third, and let's make it kind of final topic. We talk about as people of Christian faith, right? They are Christian because of Jesus Christ, right? That's the name comes from that. Do you think there was a person in history, Jesus, who actually lived and was here on Earth 2,000 years ago?
Yes, it's proven.
Okay.
Yeah, it's proven. We know that. It's an example, and it can be a religion like it was another. Follow this this path. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you believe that he existed, that he was here, and your understanding is that, what would you say that he was here to do? What was his purpose? Was he a special man? Was he, or was all those things that we read about him in the Bible?
I think we need to live at the context. In that context, I don't know. I can't picture myself and thinking how those people were thinking, and what the religion was a bit, I don't know what to think, to be honest, but he existed for sure. He meant good.
He meant good, he meant good. So if he meant good, and he said, he came actually, the belief is that he actually came with a mission, and that mission was to die for the sins of the world, right? Do you think that part of his, was he?
And that's where I got a conflict myself, where the scientific and the truth and what can be proven and what can be seen and what that where I stop, and I don't form an opinion on that.
Right.
I just don't know.
Is it because the statement itself is too much kind of into the spiritual realm, or is it? Do you agree that he made that statement?
Yeah.
He spoke like that.
Absolutely.
Like that. But
he did it for a good thing. He gave some examples of how a Christian should live.
That's right.
And he set a path of good behavior, and I think we should follow it. And then going into the Holy Spirit and the Father and the Son and all that. That I don't do.
You don't do that.
I don't do.
Well, what about the miracles that he did? Was those real miracles? He did some crazy things, right? He walked on water.
Yeah,
he
no.
Multiplied bread and fishes.
That's the example that we use to say, when you put yourself into something, you can, walk through the water. You don't need to see it literally. You need to read, like. In a positive way, as a good example. I don't think those things really happened.
Right. And you only think those things didn't happen because they don't happen today, or because
they don't happen today and they never will. You don't take it literally. You take the example and the meaning that the teaching out of it.
Right.
No.
But the way those things were written down, right, is as eyewitnesses.
Like if they happened, right?
Eyewitnesses from multiple different people. It's not just one person. It's not just one person can look at it. Okay, this person saw it, this person saw it, this person saw it.
I don't read it literally. I don't read it. Even if you know, I know he existed, but I don't go that far.
Right. Do you think that was who wrote that in? You know, who put that in then, and for what reason would they put that in?
Just to demonstrate that, you know, there is good example, there is good deeds, good things, and they were following that type of mentality. But
what is an example of a walking on water? What is that example? He didn't do it to make an example that we should all be able to walk on water. He walked on water to show something about himself, that he is not just a man.
Yeah, he's not human, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I think you need. You don't read. I think you need to find the meaning in a different kind of context. Not. I don't.
Right.
No, I don't go that far with you know, the Almighty, and you know, he existed. He did the thing. We follow his example, but then miracles and stuff like that. It's not. Even if it's written, if people witness it, you know, I'm not that religious, as I said. And it's just.
But this is just historical stuff. This is not necessarily religion. This is about. Do we trust the eyewitnesses? Right?
No. To that level, I don't. I might be a bad person, but I don't.
Right. Because even I'm not saying even like there are scholars, the people who study the text of the Bible. They're not believers. They're not Christians, but they just study the text.
Scientifically happened, or it's demonstrated.
Or they would say the way this is written, the text used, the details provided. They all seem to say. This was honestly written from a first-person point of view. Someone who saw things, and they did not mean to kind of make things up, right? So they would say this was honest. But that's fine. I mean, if we can have different opinions.
I have to go.
No problem.
Very interesting questions.
Very good. I'm really
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thanks. God bless.
Cheers. God bless.